Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. I am the Motorcycle Rescuer, and this is Motorcycle Rescuer. So yes, welcome back. Last video you saw, what happened in the last video you saw, I don't even know. I was putting carbs on the phaser, I believe. This bike belongs to someone called Ryan, and Ryan was the one that left me with the Forever bike, the WK, a couple of years back. Some of you still bring it up today to wind me up, but so he's had this bike for 2 years, maybe. Must be 2 years, and he's let it sit for the last 6 months or so. So it's been sitting for a while. Now he says 3 mechanics have looked at this recently and they can't get it running. And then he said he got it running at some point under idle, but it wouldn't accelerate. So there you go, really. Now these are KSR Motos GRS 125s. They're good bikes. I really like them. They got upside down forks. Definitely a Chinese engine, but they're actually an Austrian firm, same as KTM, and they're a copy firm. They're there to wind KTM up, and it looks like a nice KTM. And actually, whether you're allowed to do this or not, if you can find a 150 top end for this, wow, they kind of become the KTM. They're not any better, not any faster, but they actually they respond really well to 150. It becomes a kind of just a quicker accelerating bike. So I just had a very quick look over this the other day, and some of the conclusions I come to were interesting, and I really think mechanics should have seen. So I'll show you my first and main one. My first and main one is that, where is it? This, bloody hell. Someone at some point has put this fuel cutoff on. Now, you know, it wouldn't be an issue normally, but look at the size of the output. I mean, so if Ryan was getting this idling and it wasn't running, then that makes sense. There isn't enough fuel in the bowl for it to rev up. That's too small. Your most basic mechanic should have seen that and thought, there's a fueling issue here. So that's one thing. Secondly, here, look, so it would have gone to there on the other end. Ridiculous. Secondly, spark should be okay because it's running and riding, so spark shouldn't be an issue at all. I'm not sure what some of this stuff is. It's not needed. It should be fine. And I think we're running on a pod. Now, I can't remember if I ran this on a pod or if Ryan switched over. I think he said it came like this. And actually, this is something I do. Oh, this is something I do. I restrict pods so that they aren't sucking in too much air. So that is very me. So it might have been me. But I'm sure I have an airbox for this in the garage. So I wonder if the issue was getting the airbox in. So I'm going to do a couple of things. Apparently it has some power. What? He said the battery's pretty much brand new. He did switch it on yesterday, but it switched off almost immediately. So, are we looking at ignition issues or battery issues there? That's a bad start. All right, let me pop the battery out. I'll chuck it down on charge. I'm going to kind of split the bike a little bit at the back, just loosen it up so I can get to things easier. I'll get the battery out and down on charge. I'm going to want to have to go over all them connectors because there was some juice in this yesterday, although it did cut out after. That's concerning. All right, there might be enough juice there to what I wanted to do is drain the old fuel from the carb, put in some fresh, kick it over, see if we can get anything. So actually I better go and do a shop run, get some fresh fuel. We'll come back and do that. I also want to drain some of the old fuel and see what we're looking at into an empty container. So I've just gone to drain the fuel and it's bone dry, but look at the colour of the drips that are coming out. See if we can get a drip. Look at that, God, that's shocking, that's crazy. Unbelievable. That is, can you see that? Look at the colour of that. What the hell? That's going to ruin a carb. I think we're going to need an inline filter. Right, let's go and get some fresh fuel and deal with this. So, yeah, I do have an airbox for this. I'd had it for a different project in the past, and it had been in there for a long time. I'd only found it when I did a clear out a while back. Absolutely the right thing to do. Run it on the original airbox. It's got an air filter in there and everything. So definitely going down that route. My guess is I just take this tray off and slide it in. I mean, I was looking at this gap earlier, but now the seat's off, it looks like it will just slide in and pop onto the carb. I'm going to drain any little bit of fuel out of the carb onto the floor. I might just pop the whole tank off, or is that a bit long-winded? Ideally I wanted a fuel line that will travel the whole way, maybe with a filter in the middle. Probably doesn't need a filter actually, does it? I think I'm going to pop the fuel tank off because it's just messy. I mean, he always wanted these to charge his phones and stuff on, and it always became a bit of a mess. So I just want to get under there. Plus that ignition switch being so weird, I need to look at as well. So yeah, I'm going to pop the tank off for now, just so I can work out what's next for me, basically, and look at the electrics and make sure it's all kind of clean and safe, really. So look at this, just check this out just for reference. So that's a nice line for the fuel, and look what they've gone into. Look at the size of it, and then look what comes out, that dribble. You know, even with a good running bike, that wouldn't work. That it would restrict fuel to the point where it just wouldn't run, really. If I had hammerite, I'd be hammeriting this tank now, because it's covered anyway. Look, all these edges. I might have some, and you know, just to paint it on any of these bad spots. If failing that, get some WD-40 just all over it. Just let it drip down in any of them spots. That'll give it 6 months of some protection, but you know, ideally a good hammerite would sort that right out. So let's see if we put fuel straight in to the carb. So here's our dribbler right here. Let's see if we can put fuel straight in and if it will fire up. Let me undo the drain screw. Is it accessible? It's there, so that we drain out any crap that's in there, and we'll just fire it up on the side tank for now to see if it responds at all. If it does, I'll throw the airbox in, see if it feels better, revs better. If that all seems fine, then back together really with one fuel line. No cut off, that's way too small. So fuel's in, dribbling in now from my canister. Step one is it holding fuel? That's step one. And then step two will of course be, will it fire up and idle at all? I didn't see any fuel go down, but it's such a small carb, probably did. Oh look, we've still got that weird, that ignition's not right. Choke on. Side stand switch. Alright, just a little bit, nothing. The carb's moving on the boot a lot. Is it? It's not. That's not nipped up. That's not helpful. That's never going to help if it's leaking in a lot of air, especially with this air filter already. Let's get. It's a bit better. Let's see. I mean, it should have fired there, no matter what, really. This ignition's had it. Alright, we have spark. Alright, let's check the basics now. Let's check that there is a spark. No point firing up if there's no spark. Hopefully that's an easy issue. Coil or plug itself, if of course there isn't one. One moment. So the spark plug, bit black, but nothing hugely out of the ordinary. Let's see if we've got any spark. Hopefully you can see this. Oh. I can see. See a nice good spark there. Let's get it back in. It might have just been a bit dirty. What we might have to do after is a compression test, just in case. Oh, it's spat there. Can do. What's the oil like? Low. The oil's low. Not under the low, but low. Not good. There you go. Right, let me take the battery down and put it on charge for a bit. My guess is with the right power that would have worked. I think when I get back I'm going to put on the air box to the carb. I think I'm going to assume that it will fire up with a good strong battery there, because it did kick once, and again it might just need the correct air fuel ratio and stuff. So I'm going to try that, and then after an hour or two of the battery charging I'll bring it back, or if I can get the car up here I will dump it on the car to see if we can get anything going. So just to show you where I am, the airbox is in and seated and fitted. The crankcase breather was open like this. Now I would have never ever left that like that. I have mini air filters that I put on normally. Now what I would have done was I would have run it down here, down the bottom, and put on one of them mini filters. So I'm not quite sure why it's open. Problem with an open crankcase breather like that is the rain goes in. So I would be dropping this oil now. If I had new oil, I'd be dropping it and putting new oil in case there's water in there, because that's just not going to help. So I'm putting it back to where it should be, which is to here. Remember that wasn't there, so it had to have something, but I would have never left it sticking up like that. Some people make the mistake of blocking them and then the crankcase can't breathe, and then bang, you blow up your engine. So yeah, if you ever have this problem, you've gone to pod and you've got a crankcase breather, run a pipe down the bike as if it was a spill-off valve. That's your best bet. Ideally put on one of them mini AirPods that I was telling you about. I've got a couple in there that I keep spare just in case. But yes, I'm going to connect this one up so that it's all good using a connector pipe. It's I don't like the way that's seated. Or not seated. Only time will tell. It looks like someone's messed with the diaphragm. Right, I can't do anything while the battery's dead, but let me connect that up and I'll put the seat back on. I'll probably, what should I do with the tank? I'll leave the tank off for now actually, because I might need to get back down here basically. I wish I had a drip of oil to put down there. I'll check just in case, but I don't. I mean, I'll order some, but this technically could go home today if it starts and revs up properly later, you know. I told you guys briefly earlier, I spoke to Nat. I don't know if I told you actually. I spoke to Nat and I spoke to John about this airbox, and both agreed that they are a right pain in the arse. Not them, Nat and John. This airbox. Nat said on the first bike AirPods were terrible. On the Bumblebee one they were fine. AirPods worked fine. John says use heat and washing up liquids, and that's what I'm going to attempt today. So I'm going to get a hairdryer up here, heat them up, get some washing up liquid on them, and see if I can just pop it on. It just has to go on well before anything else really, otherwise it has to be smashed out and moved to pods, which some people agree is great for the bike, and some people agree it's just terrible for the bike. So I don't really want to go to pods when there's a good airbox here, but it may be a reality later.